In 2025, a family earning $80,000 can afford less than they could just 5 years ago. The purchasing power of the middle class has eroded at an alarming rate, with inflation outpacing wage growth by a significant margin. This documentary examines the stark reality faced by millions of Americans as they struggle to maintain their standard of living. We'll explore the systemic economic pressures that are reshaping the financial landscape and challenge your perceptions of what it means to be middle class in today's economy. The shrinking dollar, a middle-class dilemma. The concept of purchasing power is fundamental to understanding the economic challenges faced by middle-class families in 2025. It represents the ability of a household to acquire goods and services with a given amount of money. For middle-class Americans, this metric has become increasingly crucial as they navigate a landscape where their seemingly stable incomes have become inadequate in meeting their basic needs and aspirations. An analysis of economic data reveals a widening gap between income and the cost of living for middle-class families. While nominal wages have shown modest increases, the real value of these earnings has not kept pace with the rising costs of essential goods and services. This disparity has resulted in a gradual erosion of purchasing power, leaving many families struggling to maintain their standard of living. To illustrate this phenomenon, we can examine the components of a typical middle-class budget in 2020 compared to 2025. In 2020, a family earning $80,000 annually could allocate their income across various categories such as housing, healthcare, education, transportation, and discretionary spending with relative ease. However, by 2025, the same income level proves insufficient to cover these basic expenses without significant sacrifices or increased debt. Research on inflation rates for essential goods and services paints a concerning picture. Housing costs, particularly in urban areas, have outpaced general inflation, with average rent increases of 5 to 7% annually in many markets. Healthcare expenses have continued their upward trajectory, with premiums and out-of-pocket costs rising at rates that exceed wage growth. Education costs, including both K-12 private schooling and higher education, have maintained their historical trend of increasing faster than inflation. The stagnation of wages in relation to productivity growth further exacerbates the financial pressure on middle-class families. While worker productivity has consistently improved over the past decades, wage growth has not reflected these gains. This disconnect has resulted in a larger share of economic benefits accruing to capital rather than labor, contributing to income inequality and diminishing the purchasing power of the average worker. The psychological impact of diminished purchasing power on families cannot be overstated. As households find themselves unable to afford the same quality of life they once enjoyed, feelings of financial insecurity and stress become pervasive. This emotional toll can manifest in various ways, from increased marital tensions to delayed major life decisions, such as starting a family or purchasing a home. Parents may find themselves working longer hours or taking on additional jobs to compensate for the loss in purchasing power, resulting in less time spent with family and potential negative impacts on work-life balance. Children may also feel the effects as families cut back on extracurricular activities, educational opportunities, or even nutritious food options due to budgetary constraints. The anticipation builds as we consider the exact extent of this erosion in buying power. How much less does $80,000 buy in 2025 compared to 2020? The answer is both revealing and concerning. When accounting for cumulative inflation and the disproportionate increase in costs for essential items, an income of $80,000 in 2025 has the equivalent purchasing power of approximately $70,000 in 2020 terms. This means that in just 5 years, a middle-class family has effectively lost over 12% of their buying power, despite maintaining the same nominal income. This reduction translates to significant lifestyle changes and financial trade-offs. Families may find themselves unable to save for emergencies, contribute adequately to retirement accounts, or invest in their children's education to the same extent as they could in 2020. The erosion of purchasing power is not merely a statistical phenomenon, but a lived reality for millions of Americans. It manifests in day-to-day decisions such as opting for generic brands over preferred products, postponing necessary home repairs, or foregoing family vacations. These seemingly small sacrifices accumulate over time, fundamentally altering the quality of life and future prospects for middle-class households. Housing dreams deferred, the new reality of home ownership. The cornerstone of the American dream has long been homeownership, a tangible symbol of financial stability and a primary vehicle for wealth accumulation among middle-class families. This fundamental aspiration, however, is rapidly becoming an elusive goal for many Americans in 2025. The invisible force pushing this dream further out of reach is a complex interplay of economic factors that have created a perfect storm in the housing market. Traditionally, homeownership has been viewed as a reliable path to building equity and financial security. It has served as a means for families to establish roots in communities, provide stability for children, and create a nest egg for retirement. The ability to purchase a home has historically been a benchmark of middle-class success, representing not just a place to live, but a significant financial asset that appreciates over time. However, the stark contrast between housing price growth and wage increases has disrupted this long-standing paradigm. While incomes have seen modest gains, they have failed to keep pace with the meteoric rise in home values. This disparity has created a widening affordability gap that is reshaping the landscape of homeownership in America. The rapid appreciation of home values can be attributed to several interconnected factors. One of the primary drivers is the persistently low housing inventory, which has created a highly competitive market environment. The scarcity of available homes has led to intense bidding wars, often pushing prices well beyond their initial listing. This phenomenon has been particularly pronounced in urban areas, where the cost of a modest home frequently requires nearly double the median household income. The competitive nature of the current housing market has introduced additional hurdles for middle-class families. Many find themselves outbid by buyers who can make cash offers or are willing to waive inspections, luxuries that most middle-class families simply cannot afford. This dynamic has effectively priced out a significant portion of potential homebuyers, forcing them to remain in the rental market or seek housing in less desirable areas. Another significant factor influencing the housing market is the increased presence of institutional investors. These large-scale buyers have entered the residential real estate market en masse, purchasing substantial quantities of properties. Their involvement has further driven up prices and limited availability for individual buyers. The impact of institutional investors is particularly noticeable in desirable neighborhoods and growing metropolitan areas, where their purchasing power can easily outmatch that of middle-class families. The challenges faced by potential homebuyers have been compounded by rising interest rates. As the cost of borrowing increases, mortgages become less affordable, adding another layer of difficulty for middle-class families attempting to enter the housing market. Higher interest rates not only increase monthly payments, but also affect the overall amount that buyers can borrow, further limiting their options in an already constrained market. The cumulative effect of these factors is reflected in the declining homeownership rates among middle-class families. This trend represents a significant shift in the economic landscape, with far-reaching implications for generational wealth and the ability of families to save for future investments. The dream of homeownership, once a realistic goal for many, is now becoming a source of financial stress and uncertainty. The current median home price, when compared to just 3 years ago, provides a stark illustration of the rapidly changing market conditions. This dramatic increase in such a short period underscores the speed at which the housing market has outpaced wage growth and general inflation, creating a widening gulf between aspiration and attainability for middle-class homebuyers. The healthcare conundrum, when wellness becomes a luxury. While the housing market presents formidable challenges, another financial burden looms, even larger for middle-class families in 2025. Healthcare, once considered a fundamental right, has transformed into an unaffordable luxury for millions of Americans. The escalating costs of medical care have created a pervasive healthcare conundrum, forcing families to make impossible choices between their physical well-being and financial stability. The rapid escalation of healthcare costs has outpaced both wage growth and general inflation, creating a significant strain on middle-class budgets. This surge in expenses is not limited to insurance premiums alone. Out-of-pocket costs, including deductibles and co-payments, have also risen dramatically. As a result, even routine medical checkups and treatments have become increasingly unattainable for many families, leading to a troubling decline in preventive care. The implementation of high-deductible health plans has further exacerbated the financial burden on middle-class households. While these plans often offer lower monthly premiums, they transfer a substantial portion of healthcare costs directly to consumers. Families are now responsible for paying thousands of dollars out of pocket before their insurance coverage begins, creating a significant barrier to accessing necessary medical services. The consequences of this healthcare cost crisis extend far beyond immediate financial concerns. Many middle-class families find themselves forced to make difficult trade-offs between healthcare and other essential expenses. This prioritization of immediate financial needs over long-term health outcomes can have severe repercussions, potentially leading to more severe and costly health issues in the future. The burden of medical debt has become a significant issue among middle-income households. Families are increasingly resorting to skipping necessary care to save money, a decision that can have dire consequences. This avoidance of medical treatment due to financial constraints often results in minor health issues escalating into major, more expensive crises down the road. The cycle of delayed care and worsening health conditions further strains family budgets and overall well-being. The decline in preventive care due to cost concerns is particularly alarming. Routine health services, such as annual checkups, vaccinations, and screenings, play a crucial role in maintaining overall health and detecting potential issues early. However, as families opt to forego these essential services, they inadvertently increase their risk of developing more serious and costly health problems in the future. This trend not only impacts individual families, but also places additional strain on the healthcare system as a whole. The financial vulnerability of middle-class families in the face of unexpected medical costs is further highlighted by recent studies. Research has revealed that nearly 60% of Americans now report having less than 3 months' worth of expenses saved for emergencies. This lack of financial cushion exacerbates the impact of unanticipated healthcare expenses, leaving families ill-equipped to handle even minor medical emergencies without incurring significant debt. The current trajectory of healthcare cost trends is widely regarded as unsustainable by experts in the field. As premiums and out-of-pocket expenses continue to rise at rates that far outstrip wage growth, middle-class families find themselves increasingly vulnerable to financial instability. This widening gap between healthcare costs and income growth threatens to undermine the very foundation of middle-class financial security. The healthcare conundrum faced by middle-class families in 2025 extends beyond individual households, impacting broader societal and economic structures. The persistent stress of managing healthcare costs can lead to decreased productivity in the workplace, increased absenteeism, and a general decline in overall quality of life. Moreover, the financial strain of medical expenses can hinder families' ability to save for other important goals, such as education, retirement, or homeownership, further compromising their long-term financial stability. The healthcare crisis also highlights the growing disparities in access to quality medical care. As costs continue to rise, a two-tiered healthcare system is emerging, where those with financial means can afford comprehensive care, while others are left to navigate a landscape of limited options and potentially substandard services. This inequity in healthcare access threatens to exacerbate existing socioeconomic divisions and undermine the principles of equal opportunity that have long been central to the American ethos. Education's price tag, the student loan debt crisis. The pursuit of higher education, once a cornerstone of middle-class advancement, has transformed into a double-edged sword for economic mobility in 2025. As we transition from healthcare inequities to education, we encounter a paradox. The very system designed to elevate socioeconomic status has become a primary driver of financial instability for many Americans. Historically, higher education served as a reliable pathway to economic prosperity, offering individuals the opportunity to acquire specialized skills and knowledge that would lead to higher-paying jobs and improved living standards. This paradigm, however, has shifted dramatically in recent years. The average tuition at public universities has surged by over 15% in the past 5 years alone, forcing families to rely on substantial student loans to finance their educational aspirations. The consequences of this shift are profound and far-reaching. Recent graduates now face an unprecedented level of student loan debt, with many owing over $30,000 upon completion of their studies. This financial burden extends far beyond the individual, impacting household budgets and contributing to a cycle of financial strain that ripples through the entire family unit. The impact of student loan payments on household budgets cannot be overstated. Many families report that they must prioritize these payments over other essential expenses, leading to a precarious balancing act that often results in financial instability. This prioritization comes at the cost of other important financial goals, such as saving for retirement, building an emergency fund, or investing in homeownership. The rising costs of higher education have also led to significant generational differences in education costs and debt levels. Many middle-class families, still grappling with their own financial burdens, find themselves unable to save for their children's college education. This perpetuates a cycle of debt that spans generations, as each successive cohort faces increasingly insurmountable education costs. The financial strain imposed by student loan debt extends well beyond the immediate post-graduation period, influencing long-term career choices and financial decisions. Graduates often feel compelled to prioritize higher-paying jobs over positions that align with their passions or societal needs, simply to manage their debt obligations. This shift in career trajectory can have lasting implications for both individual job satisfaction and broader economic dynamics. Moreover, the burden of student loan debt has led to delayed life milestones for many graduates. The traditional markers of adulthood and financial independence, such as homeownership and starting families, are being postponed as individuals struggle to manage their financial obligations. This delay in major life decisions has broader societal implications, potentially affecting demographic trends, housing markets, and economic growth. The generational impact of the student debt crisis is particularly stark when examining the financial capabilities of middle-class parents. According to a recent study, nearly 50% of middle-class parents report being unable to save anything for their children's future, which includes not only college education, but also other significant life events such as weddings or first homes. This statistic underscores the far-reaching consequences of the education debt burden, as it limits the ability of families to provide financial support across multiple generations. The resolution of this crisis remains elusive, but potential solutions are being actively explored. Experts suggest that policy reforms aimed at making higher education more affordable and accessible could help alleviate the burden on middle-class families. These reforms might include increased public funding for higher education, expansions of grant programs, or innovative financing models that reduce the reliance on traditional student loans. Additionally, increased financial literacy programs could play a crucial role in helping families navigate the complexities of student loans and higher education financing. By empowering individuals with the knowledge and tools to make informed decisions about education costs and loan management, these programs could help mitigate the long-term financial impact, the retirement mirage, savings shortfalls, and uncertain futures. The American dream has long promised a secure and comfortable retirement as the reward for a lifetime of hard work and responsible financial management. However, in 2025, this vision of golden years, filled with leisure and financial stability, has become increasingly elusive for many middle-class Americans. A hidden crisis threatens to shatter the retirement dreams of millions, as inadequate savings and economic uncertainties cast long shadows over their financial futures. The reality of retirement savings in America paints a stark picture. Over 40% of middle-class households have less than $50,000 saved for retirement, a figure that falls far short of the amount needed to maintain financial security in later years. This alarming statistic reveals a widespread problem that could have profound implications for individuals, families, and society as a whole. To understand the depth of this crisis, it is essential to examine the factors contributing to low retirement savings rates. One significant shift in recent decades has been the transition from traditional pension plans to individual retirement accounts. This change has transferred the responsibility of retirement planning and investment management from employers to employees, many of whom lack the financial expertise to navigate complex investment decisions effectively. The impact of market volatility on retirement portfolios further exacerbates the challenge of building adequate savings. Economic downturns can have a devastating effect on retirement accounts, particularly for those nearing retirement age. During periods of market turbulence, many individuals face significant losses that can jeopardize their long-term financial security. This volatility introduces an element of uncertainty that makes it difficult for middle-class families to plan confidently for their future. Social Security, once considered a reliable cornerstone of retirement planning, now faces an uncertain future. While it continues to play a crucial role in providing income for retirees, experts warn that without reforms, the system may not be able to meet future obligations. Potential funding shortfalls raise concerns about the ability of Social Security to provide adequate support for future generations of retirees. This uncertainty adds another layer of complexity to retirement planning for middle-class families, who must now consider the possibility of reduced benefits in their long-term financial strategies. An examination of average retirement account balances reveals significant disparities across age groups. Younger workers, aged 25 to 34, typically have much lower balances compared to their older counterparts aged 55 to 64. This discrepancy can be attributed to various factors, including shorter career spans, lower salaries in early career stages, and competing financial priorities such as student loan repayment or saving for a home purchase. However, it also underscores the importance of early and consistent retirement savings to benefit from long-term compound growth. The cumulative effect of these challenges is sobering. A significant percentage of middle-class households are projected to have inadequate retirement savings, with many unlikely to maintain their pre-retirement standard of living. This trend is further exacerbated by rising living costs and stagnant wages, which make it increasingly difficult for families to allocate funds for future needs while meeting current expenses. The implications of a generation unable to retire comfortably extend far beyond individual households. A large population of financially insecure retirees could place increased strain on social services and healthcare systems. It may also lead to a shift in family dynamics, with adult children potentially bearing the financial burden of supporting their aging parents. Furthermore, the economy as a whole could suffer if a significant portion of the population lacks the purchasing power to participate fully in consumer spending during retirement years. Experts emphasize that without systemic changes to retirement savings policies, the current trends could lead to a generation of retirees facing financial insecurity. They stress the need for policy reforms to enhance retirement savings options and accessibility. Potential solutions may include expanding access to employer-sponsored retirement plans, increasing tax incentives for retirement savings, and implementing automatic enrollment programs to encourage higher participation rates. The childcare crunch, when working means paying to work. As policymakers grapple with retirement savings reforms, a more immediate crisis looms for working families. In 2025, a startling economic paradox has emerged. For many parents, the cost of working now includes paying exorbitant sums simply to go to work. This financial conundrum stems from the escalating costs of childcare, which have reached unprecedented levels across the United States. The necessity of childcare for working families has become a critical component of the modern economic landscape. As dual-income households have become the norm rather than the exception, the demand for quality childcare services has surged. However, this increased demand has not been met with a commensurate increase in affordable options, leading to a severe imbalance in the childcare market. The rapidly escalating costs of quality childcare have created a significant financial burden for middle-class families. In many states, the annual expenses for one child now rival or even surpass rent or mortgage payments. This stark reality has forced many families into a difficult position. They must either allocate a substantial portion of their income to childcare or make the challenging decision to have one parent reduce their work hours or leave the workforce entirely. Several factors contribute to the high childcare expenses. Stringent regulatory requirements, while necessary for ensuring child safety and well-being, often result in increased operational costs for childcare providers. Additionally, the shortage of qualified childcare workers, coupled with the need to provide competitive wages to retain staff, further drives up the cost of services. The limited availability of subsidies and tax credits for middle-class families exacerbates the financial strain, as many households fall into an income bracket that disqualifies them from assistance programs, yet leaves them struggling to afford quality care. The impact of childcare costs on women's workforce participation rates is particularly noteworthy. High childcare expenses can lead to women opting out of the workforce or reducing their hours to manage childcare responsibilities. This decision, often made out of financial necessity rather than personal preference, can have long-term consequences on career advancement and earning potential. The gender wage gap, already a persistent issue, is further widened as women's career trajectories are interrupted or slowed due to childcare considerations. Families are increasingly forced to make difficult trade-offs between career advancement and childcare. Some parents find themselves declining promotions or passing on job opportunities that would require longer hours or more travel, as the increased income would be offset by higher childcare costs. Others may choose to work non-traditional hours or pursue freelance work to minimize childcare expenses, potentially sacrificing job security and benefits in the process. The quality and availability of childcare services present additional challenges for working parents. Many families face overcrowded facilities and a lack of affordable options, which can compromise the care their children receive. The scarcity of high-quality, affordable childcare options is particularly acute in rural areas and low-income urban neighborhoods, creating childcare deserts where parents struggle to find suitable care for their children. The financial impact of childcare costs on middle-class family budgets is staggering. In 2025, the average percentage of income devoted to childcare by middle-class families has increased dramatically, with some families spending upwards of 30% of their income on childcare expenses. This significant allocation of resources to childcare often comes at the expense of other financial priorities, such as saving for retirement, building an emergency fund, or investing in homeownership. The broader economic effects of the childcare crisis are far-reaching. Reduced workforce participation, particularly among women, can lead to decreased economic productivity and lower tax revenues. The financial stress associated with high childcare costs can impact employee performance and job satisfaction, potentially leading to higher turnover rates and increased costs for employers. Moreover, the long-term consequences of reduced savings and career interruptions can contribute to greater economic inequality and reduced financial stability for middle-class families. The vanishing safety net, the erosion of emergency savings. While the childcare crisis erodes family budgets from one end, another equally insidious threat lurks beneath the surface of apparent middle-class stability. The safety net that once cushioned unexpected financial blows is fraying at an alarming rate, leaving millions of households teetering on the brink of economic disaster. This phenomenon, known as the erosion of emergency savings, represents a critical vulnerability in the financial health of American families. Emergency savings serve as a crucial buffer against unforeseen circumstances, providing financial stability and peace of mind. These funds are intended to cover unexpected expenses or income disruptions, such as medical emergencies, car repairs, or temporary job loss. However, the ability to maintain adequate emergency savings has become increasingly challenging for middle-class families in recent years. The decline in emergency savings rates is attributed to a complex interplay of economic factors. Rising costs in essential areas such as housing, healthcare, and education force families to prioritize immediate expenses over long-term savings. This constant pressure to meet current financial obligations leaves little room for building a financial cushion against future uncertainties. Income volatility has emerged as a significant obstacle to consistent savings habits. Many middle-class workers experience fluctuations in income that make it difficult to maintain a stable savings pattern. This volatility is often linked to the gig economy and unstable job markets, where irregular work schedules and inconsistent paychecks have become more prevalent. As a result, families find themselves in a perpetual state of financial uncertainty, struggling to allocate funds for emergencies when their income streams are unpredictable. The psychological effects of financial insecurity contribute to a self-perpetuating cycle of anxiety and stress. Families constantly worried about meeting immediate financial obligations find it challenging to focus on long-term financial planning, including building emergency savings. This state of persistent financial stress can lead to decision paralysis, where individuals feel overwhelmed and unable to take proactive steps towards improving their financial situation. Financial education plays a crucial role in promoting savings habits, yet many middle-class families lack access to effective financial literacy programs. Without proper guidance on budgeting, saving strategies, and long-term financial planning, individuals may struggle to prioritize emergency savings or implement effective saving techniques. The absence of comprehensive financial education leaves many families ill-equipped to navigate the complexities of personal finance in an increasingly challenging economic landscape. Data on emergency fund sizes across income brackets paints a concerning picture of financial vulnerability. The average emergency fund size is alarmingly low, with many families unable to cover unexpected expenses without resorting to credit or loans. This reliance on debt to address financial emergencies can lead to a cycle of increasing financial strain, as families struggle to repay borrowed funds while simultaneously attempting to rebuild their depleted savings. The percentage of Americans lacking a 3-month emergency fund underscores the fragility of financial stability for many households in the current economic climate. This widespread lack of adequate emergency savings exposes a significant portion of the population to potential financial catastrophe in the event of unexpected expenses or income disruptions. The broader economic implications of widespread financial fragility are far-reaching. When a substantial portion of the population lacks sufficient emergency savings, the economy becomes more vulnerable to shocks and downturns. Consumer spending, a key driver of economic growth, may become more volatile as households struggle to maintain financial stability. Additionally, the absence of adequate emergency funds may lead to increased reliance on social safety net programs, potentially straining public resources. Moreover, the lack of emergency savings can have cascading effects on other aspects of financial well-being. Families without adequate savings may be forced to make difficult trade-offs, such as delaying necessary medical care, postponing home repairs, or accumulating high-interest debt to cover unexpected expenses. These decisions can have long-term consequences for both individual financial health and broader economic stability. The grocery bill shock, nutrition on a stretched budget. As families grapple with financial instability, another essential aspect of well-being is under siege. The dinner table, once a symbol of familial nourishment, has become a battlefield where budgets and nutrition wage a silent war. The cost of putting food on the table has skyrocketed, forcing middle-class families into an unpalatable dilemma, choosing between their health and their wallet. The fundamental role of food in family well-being cannot be overstated. It serves not only as sustenance, but also as a cornerstone of social bonding, cultural expression, and physical health. However, the sharp rise in grocery prices, especially for healthy options, has transformed this basic necessity into a complex financial equation. The factors driving food price inflation are multifaceted and interconnected. Global supply chain disruptions, increased production costs, and environmental challenges have all contributed to the escalating prices at the checkout counter. These forces have converged to create a perfect storm of financial pressure on middle-class households, who find themselves increasingly squeezed between rising costs and stagnant wages. The impact of rising food costs on dietary choices is profound and far-reaching. Families are increasingly forced to make difficult decisions, often opting for less expensive processed foods that may compromise long-term health. This shift towards cheaper, less nutritious options represents a troubling trend with potentially severe consequences for public health. Perhaps most alarming is the emergence of food insecurity among middle-income households. In 2025, nearly 47 million people are living in food-insecure households, a statistic that underscores the severity of the situation. This phenomenon, once primarily associated with low-income populations, has now permeated the middle class, revealing the extent of financial strain on families who were once considered economically stable. The trade-offs families make between food quality and quantity are stark and often heartbreaking. Parents may find themselves reducing portion sizes, skipping meals, or choosing lower-quality ingredients to stretch their food budget. These compromises, while necessary for immediate financial survival, can have long-term implications for physical and mental health, cognitive development, and overall quality of life. An examination of the changing composition of the average family's grocery cart provides a tangible illustration of these shifts. There is a noticeable trend towards cheaper, often processed foods as families prioritize immediate affordability over long-term health considerations. Fresh fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, and whole grains, all essential components of a balanced diet, are increasingly being replaced by more shelf-stable, calorie-dense alternatives. The impact of grocery prices on family nutrition is particularly evident in the realm of organic produce. Organic options, often touted for their health benefits and environmental sustainability, have become prohibitively expensive for many middle-class families. In some cases, organic produce costs 30% more than conventional options, placing it out of reach for budget-conscious shoppers. This price disparity forces families to choose between their desire for chemical-free, nutrient-rich foods and the reality of their financial constraints. The broader health and social implications of these dietary changes are significant and potentially long-lasting. A shift towards less nutritious diets can lead to increased rates of obesity, diabetes, and other chronic health conditions. These health issues, in turn, can result in higher healthcare costs, decreased productivity, and reduced quality of life, creating a vicious cycle of financial and physical strain. Moreover, the stress associated with food insecurity and difficult nutritional trade-offs can have profound psychological effects on families. Parents may experience guilt and anxiety over their inability to provide optimal nutrition for their children, while children may internalize feelings of deprivation or instability. These emotional burdens can strain family relationships and contribute to broader social tensions. The situation is further exacerbated by the fact that food price inflation has outpaced wage growth, intensifying the financial strain on middle-class families and contributing to a cycle of food insecurity. This disparity between income and food costs represents a fundamental challenge to the economic stability of households across the nation. The transportation trap, when mobility becomes a luxury. The landscape of personal transportation has undergone a seismic shift, transforming what was once a symbol of freedom and opportunity into a financial burden for many middle-class families. In 2025, the cost of owning and operating a vehicle has become a significant strain on household budgets, forcing families to reassess their mobility options and, in many cases, make difficult sacrifices. The importance of reliable transportation in modern society cannot be overstated. For most Americans, personal vehicles are not merely a convenience, but a necessity for accessing employment opportunities, education, healthcare, and essential services. The ability to commute efficiently and independently has long been integral to the American way of life, enabling individuals to pursue career advancement and maintain social connections across increasingly sprawling urban and suburban landscapes. However, this fundamental aspect of daily life has become increasingly unattainable for many middle-class families. The average cost of a new vehicle has soared past $47,000 in 2025, representing a substantial increase from previous years. This dramatic rise in prices can be attributed to a confluence of factors, including persistent inflation, ongoing supply chain disruptions that have plagued the automotive industry since the early 2020s, and higher manufacturing costs associated with advanced technologies and increasingly stringent safety and environmental regulations. The ripple effects of these increased costs extend far beyond the initial purchase price of a vehicle. As new car prices have escalated, many families have turned to the used car market as an alternative. However, this increased demand for pre-owned vehicles has driven up prices in this segment as well, leaving fewer affordable options for budget-conscious consumers. Consequently, many families find themselves holding on to older vehicles for longer periods, a trend reflected in the increasing average age of vehicles on American roads. This strategy of extending vehicle ownership, while potentially cost-effective in the short term, often leads to higher maintenance bills and increased fuel inefficiency. Older vehicles typically require more frequent repairs and are less likely to incorporate the latest fuel-saving technologies, resulting in higher operating costs over time. These ongoing expenses create a financial catch-22 for many families. They cannot afford to purchase a new, more efficient vehicle, but they struggle to bear the mounting costs of maintaining an aging one. The strain of transportation costs on household budgets is further exacerbated by the overall economic pressures facing middle-class families. In an environment of stagnant wages and rising living costs across multiple sectors, the financial demands of vehicle ownership represent yet another challenge to achieving and maintaining financial stability. Families are increasingly forced to make difficult choices between maintaining their vehicles and other essential expenses such as housing, healthcare, and education. Public transportation, often touted as a more economical alternative to private vehicle ownership, has unfortunately failed to provide a viable solution for many Americans. While public transit systems in some urban areas offer comprehensive coverage and reliable service, many regions suffer from inadequate infrastructure, limited routes, and inconsistent schedules. Moreover, public transportation itself has not been immune to rising costs, with many systems implementing fare increases to cope with their own financial challenges. These factors, combined with the convenience and flexibility offered by personal vehicles, have limited the appeal of public transit as a primary mode of transportation for many families. The environmental implications of transportation choices add another layer of complexity to this issue. While newer vehicles tend to be more fuel efficient and produce fewer emissions, the high cost of these models often puts them out of reach for middle-class families. This creates a paradoxical situation where those who might be most motivated to make environmentally conscious transportation choices are often the least able to afford them. The result is a potential widening of the green gap, where eco-friendly transportation options become increasingly associated with higher income brackets. The data on vehicle ownership trends paints a stark picture of the challenges facing middle-class families. The average age of vehicles on American roads has steadily increased, indicating that families are keeping their cars longer due to financial constraints. This trend not only reflects the difficulties in affording new vehicles, but also suggests a potential decline in overall vehicle safety. The utility bills surge, essential services at premium prices. As middle-class families grapple with the rising costs of transportation, another essential aspect of modern life is quietly draining their finances. The surge in utility costs has emerged as a significant strain on household budgets, transforming basic services into premium expenses. Over the past 2 years, electricity costs have risen by a staggering 15%, driven by increased demand and escalating energy prices. This substantial increase in such a fundamental necessity underscores the growing financial pressure on families struggling to maintain their standard of living. The rising costs of utilities are not limited to electricity alone. Water bills have also seen marked increases, with many cities implementing higher rates to fund critical infrastructure upgrades. These combined increases in essential services are forcing middle-class families to make difficult choices about where to allocate their limited resources. Many are finding themselves in the unenviable position of having to prioritize these basic necessities over savings or discretionary spending, further eroding their financial stability and quality of life. The impact of these rising costs is reflected in the changing composition of household expenditures. A significant portion of household income is now being allocated to utilities, with many families reporting that they are spending a larger percentage of their earnings on these essential services compared to previous years. This shift in spending patterns not only affects current financial well-being, but also has long-term implications for families' ability to save for future goals or unexpected expenses. One of the key factors driving the increase in utility costs is the aging infrastructure in many regions across the country. Older systems require more frequent maintenance and upgrades, and these costs are often passed on to consumers through higher rates. The need for infrastructure improvement is critical, but it comes at a significant cost to households already struggling with financial pressures from multiple directions. As families grapple with rising utility costs, the challenge of achieving energy efficiency in older homes compounds the issue. Many middle-class families reside in homes that were built decades ago, when energy efficiency standards were less stringent. These older structures often lack proper insulation, have outdated heating and cooling systems, and may feature inefficient appliances. Consequently, families living in these homes face higher utility bills as they struggle to maintain comfortable living conditions, creating a cycle of increased energy consumption and escalating costs. The concept of energy burden, defined as the percentage of income spent on energy costs, provides a stark illustration of the disproportionate impact of rising utility prices on different income brackets. Low and moderate income households typically face a higher energy burden, exacerbating the financial strain on those least able to absorb additional costs. This disparity in energy costs relative to income contributes to a broader phenomenon known as energy poverty, where families are unable to afford basic energy needs without sacrificing other essentials. Experts in the field of energy policy and economics suggest that investments in renewable energy sources could help stabilize utility prices in the long term. However, this transition requires significant upfront costs and robust policy support. The challenge lies in balancing the need for sustainable energy solutions with the immediate financial pressures faced by middle-class families. While renewable energy holds promise for future price stability, the current reality is that many households are struggling to meet their basic energy needs in the face of rising costs. The increasing utility costs are not just a matter of individual household budgets. They have broader implications for economic stability and social equity. As more families find themselves unable to afford basic energy needs without sacrificing other essentials, the risk of cascading financial problems increases. This can lead to a range of negative outcomes, from decreased consumer spending in other areas of the economy to increased reliance on credit to cover basic living expenses. The insurance paradox, paying more for less coverage. The concept of insurance has long been a cornerstone of financial security. Yet, in a startling twist, many middle-class Americans now find themselves in a paradoxical situation, paying more for insurance while becoming increasingly vulnerable to financial catastrophe. This perplexing juncture has emerged as a result of complex economic factors and changing environmental conditions, creating a perfect storm that threatens the financial stability of countless families. Insurance, at its core, is designed to provide a safety net against unforeseen events and potential financial ruin. However, the rising costs of premiums across various insurance types have begun to strain household budgets to their breaking point. This trend is particularly evident in the realm of home insurance, where costs have surged dramatically in recent years. The primary drivers behind this increase are twofold: the escalating risks associated with climate change and the soaring expenses related to rebuilding and repairs. Climate-related events, such as severe storms, floods, and wildfires, have become more frequent and intense, leading to a higher volume of insurance claims. As a result, insurance companies have responded by raising premiums to offset their increased payouts. This shift has left many homeowners grappling with the difficult decision of whether to maintain comprehensive coverage at a higher cost or to reduce their protection to save money in the short term. The ripple effects of these rising premiums extend far beyond individual households. As families allocate a larger portion of their budgets to cover essential insurance costs, their financial stability is further eroded. This situation is exacerbated by the fact that many middle-class families are already struggling with stagnant wages and increasing costs in other areas of their lives, such as healthcare and education. The healthcare insurance landscape presents its own set of challenges. The trend of rising premiums coupled with higher deductibles and out-of-pocket maximums has created a scenario where families are paying more for less coverage. This cost-sharing model, while designed to encourage more thoughtful use of healthcare services, often results in individuals delaying or foregoing necessary medical care due to financial constraints. The long-term consequences of such decisions can be severe, potentially leading to more serious health issues and even higher healthcare costs in the future. As families navigate this complex insurance landscape, they are increasingly faced with difficult trade-offs. Many find themselves in the unenviable position of having to choose between different types of insurance coverage, often sacrificing protection in one area to maintain it in another. For example, a family might opt for a higher deductible on their auto insurance to afford the rising premiums of their home insurance policy. These decisions, while necessary in the short term, can leave families more exposed to financial disaster in the event of an emergency. The overall trend of increasing insurance costs has led to a significant rise in the average household spending on various insurance types. Families now find themselves allocating a larger portion of their income to maintain essential coverage, further straining their already tight budgets. This shift in spending patterns has broader implications for the economy as a whole, as it reduces disposable income that could otherwise be used for savings, investments, or discretionary spending. Perhaps most concerning is the growing trend of underinsurance among middle-class families. As premiums continue to rise and coverage levels decrease, many households find themselves inadequately protected against potential financial disasters. Experts warn that this trend could lead to a significant increase in families facing catastrophic financial losses in the event of major accidents, natural disasters, or health crises. The insurance paradox presents a complex challenge with no easy solutions. While insurance remains a critical component of financial security, the current trajectory of rising costs and decreasing coverage threatens to undermine its very purpose. Addressing this issue will require a multifaceted approach, involving policy reforms, innovative insurance products, and increased financial education for consumers. The gig economy gamble, flexibility at the cost of security. The gig economy has emerged as a transformative force in the labor market, promising flexibility and autonomy to workers seeking alternative income sources. As traditional employment structures evolve, a new paradigm of work has taken root, one that offers the allure of entrepreneurial freedom but may conceal a perilous trade-off in financial security. By 2025, estimates suggest that nearly 30% of the workforce may participate in some form of gig economy activity, marking a significant shift in how Americans earn their livelihoods. The appeal of gig work is undeniable. It offers the potential for individuals to escape the confines of traditional 9-to-5 employment, set their own schedules, and pursue diverse income streams. This flexibility has become particularly attractive in times of economic uncertainty, as workers seek to supplement their primary income or pivot to new opportunities in response to market shifts. The gig economy has also been lauded for its potential to democratize work, allowing individuals to monetize their skills and assets in ways previously unavailable. However, the reality of gig work often diverges sharply from its promise. The financial instability inherent in this model of employment presents significant challenges for workers attempting to build stable, middle-class lives. One of the most pressing issues is the lack of access to benefits such as health insurance, retirement plans, and paid leave. These protections, long considered standard in traditional employment arrangements, are largely absent for gig workers, leaving them vulnerable to financial shocks and long-term insecurity. The absence of these benefits extends beyond immediate financial concerns. Without access to employer-sponsored health insurance, gig workers often face prohibitively expensive premiums in the individual market or opt to go without coverage entirely. This lack of health insurance can lead to delayed medical care and increased financial risk in the event of a health crisis. Similarly, the absence of retirement benefits means that many gig workers struggle to save adequately for their future, potentially setting the stage for financial hardship in their later years. Income volatility presents another significant challenge for gig workers. Unlike traditional employees who can rely on a steady paycheck, gig workers often experience substantial fluctuations in their earnings from week to week or month to month. This unpredictability makes it difficult to budget effectively, plan for major expenses, or build emergency savings. The stress of not knowing when the next paycheck will arrive can have profound psychological effects, contributing to anxiety and financial insecurity. The challenges of gig work extend beyond day-to-day financial management. Gig workers often struggle to secure loans or mortgages due to their inconsistent income, which can make it difficult for them to demonstrate financial stability to lenders. This obstacle can have far-reaching consequences, potentially locking gig workers out of homeownership and other wealth-building opportunities that have traditionally been cornerstones of middle-class financial security. The long-term career implications of participation in the gig economy are equally concerning. Many gig workers find themselves trapped in a cycle of low-wage work without clear pathways to advancement or skill development. Unlike traditional employment, which often offers opportunities for promotion and career growth, the gig economy can leave workers in a perpetual state of entry-level status, regardless of their experience or expertise. This lack of upward mobility can have significant implications for lifetime earnings and financial stability. The erosion of labor standards has played a significant role in exacerbating these challenges. According to the Economic Policy Institute, the decline of protections for independent contractors has left gig workers particularly vulnerable to exploitation. This shift has contributed to wage stagnation, as gig workers often lack the collective bargaining power to negotiate better pay and conditions. The result is a workforce that, despite its flexibility, often struggles to achieve the financial stability and security associated with traditional middle-class employment. The broader economic implications of a workforce increasingly reliant on gig work are profound. As more workers shift away from traditional employment, the social safety net designed around full-time, long-term employment becomes increasingly strained. This shift may necessitate a fundamental reimagining of how society provides for the welfare of its workers, including new models for delivering healthcare, retirement savings, and other critical benefits. The wealth gap widening, a tale of two economies. As we examine the economic landscape of the United States, a stark reality emerges that challenges our understanding of national prosperity. The traditional narrative of economic growth benefiting all segments of society has been shattered, revealing a tale of two economies that operate in parallel but with vastly different outcomes for their participants. Historically, economic growth in the United States was closely linked to middle-class prosperity. As productivity increased and businesses thrived, workers saw their wages rise, enabling them to afford homes, cars, and other markers of a comfortable middle-class lifestyle. This symbiotic relationship between overall economic health and individual well-being was a cornerstone of the American dream, promising that hard work would lead to financial security and upward mobility. However, a troubling divergence has emerged in recent decades. While macroeconomic indicators such as GDP growth and stock market performance have shown robust gains, the experience of the average American worker has been markedly different. This disconnect between overall economic growth and middle-class prosperity is evident in the stagnation of real wages for the majority of workers, even as the economy has continued to expand. The factors contributing to this wealth concentration at the top are multifaceted and deeply entrenched in the current economic system. One significant driver is the shift towards a knowledge-based economy, where highly skilled workers in technology, finance, and other specialized fields command premium salaries. This trend has exacerbated income inequality, as those with sought-after skills see their earnings soar, while others struggle to keep pace. Tax policy has played a crucial role in exacerbating wealth inequality. The top marginal tax rate in the United States has undergone a dramatic transformation, falling from 70% in 1979 to just 37% today. This substantial reduction in tax burden for the highest earners has allowed for greater accumulation of wealth at the top, while simultaneously reducing the government's capacity to fund programs that could benefit the broader population. The concept of rent-seeking, where individuals or entities manipulate economic conditions or public policy to increase their wealth without creating new value, has further contributed to the concentration of wealth. This can take various forms, from lobbying for favorable regulations to exploiting market inefficiencies. The result is a transfer of wealth from the broader economy to a select few, often at the expense of innovation and productive economic activity. The implications of this growing wealth inequality for social mobility are profound. As financial resources become increasingly concentrated among a small segment of the population, the ability for individuals to move up the economic ladder becomes more challenging. This is reflected in sobering statistics on social mobility. Only 50% of children born in 1984 achieved higher family income at age 30 compared to their parents, a sharp decline from over 90% for those born in 1940. An examination of wealth distribution across different income percentiles reveals the extent of this economic divide. Between 1979 and 2020, the average income of the richest 0.01% of households grew 17 times as fast as the income of the bottom 20% of earners. This extreme concentration of income at the top is further illustrated by the fact that in 2020, the richest 1% earned 104 times as much income as the bottom 20%. The shift in the share of aggregate income held by different economic groups is equally telling. Upper-income households saw their share of aggregate income increase from 29% to 48% between 1970 and 2018, while the share held by middle-class households fell from 62% to 43%. This significant widening of income inequality represents a fundamental restructuring of the economic landscape, with far-reaching consequences for social cohesion and economic stability. The decline of union membership has contributed significantly to wage stagnation and rising wage inequality. In 2022, only 10.1% of the workforce was represented by unions, down from over 30% in the 1940s and 1950s. This erosion of collective bargaining power has left many workers with limited ability to negotiate for better wages and benefits, further exacerbating the wealth gap. The wealth disparity between upper-income families and middle and lower-income families is even more pronounced than the income gap. While upper-income families have experienced significant wealth accumulation, Middle-income families saw their median net worth shrink by 20% from 2001 to 2016. This growing chasm in wealth distribution underscores the challenges faced by middle-class families in building long-term financial security. The tech treadmill, the hidden costs of staying connected. In the digital age, technology has become an indispensable part of our daily lives, seamlessly integrating into our work, social interactions, and personal routines. However, this digital revolution comes with a hidden price tag that is increasingly straining middle-class budgets. The financial burden of maintaining connectivity and staying current with technological advancements has evolved from a luxury expense to a necessary cost of modern living. The rapid pace of technological innovation has created a cycle of obsolescence that compels consumers to frequently upgrade their devices. This tech treadmill is not merely a matter of keeping up with the latest trends. It has become essential for remaining competitive in the job market and maintaining social connectivity. As technology evolves, older devices become incompatible with new software and services, forcing families to invest in new hardware to access essential functions and applications. This constant need for upgrades extends beyond personal devices to encompass a wide array of digital services. The proliferation of subscription-based platforms has added a new layer of ongoing expenses to household budgets. Streaming services, productivity tools, cloud storage, and other digital subscriptions have become integral to work and leisure activities. While each individual subscription may seem manageable, the cumulative cost of these services can significantly impact a family's monthly expenses. The financial implications of this technological dependence are particularly pronounced when considering the broader economic context. Middle-class families, already grappling with stagnant wages and rising costs in other essential areas, now face the additional challenge of allocating funds for both essential and non-essential technology. This financial strain is compounded by the rapid evolution of digital infrastructure, which often requires investments in new hardware or services to maintain optimal functionality. The digital divide, a critical issue in contemporary society, further exacerbates economic disparities. Lower-income households frequently lack access to high-speed internet and the latest technology, creating a significant barrier to educational and professional opportunities. This technological gap not only limits immediate prospects, but also hinders long-term economic mobility, as digital literacy and access become increasingly crucial for success in many fields. The financial burden of staying connected is not limited to device purchases and subscription fees. The infrastructure required to support our digital lives, such as high-speed internet connections and mobile data plans, represents a substantial ongoing expense for many households. As the demand for faster and more reliable connectivity grows, so too does the cost of these essential services. Families often find themselves making difficult trade-offs between technological expenses and other necessities. The choice between upgrading a device necessary for work or education and allocating funds for healthcare, housing, or savings can create significant stress and financial insecurity. This dilemma is particularly acute for families with school-aged children, as digital tools have become integral to modern education, often requiring substantial investments in hardware and software. The impact of technology costs on middle-class budgets is reflected in household spending data. In 2025, the average American household is projected to allocate a significant portion of its budget to technology and digital services. This expenditure encompasses not only the purchase of devices and subscriptions, but also the ongoing costs of maintenance, repairs, and inevitable replacements. As technology becomes increasingly embedded in every aspect of our lives, from smart home devices to digital healthcare platforms, the line between essential and discretionary tech spending becomes increasingly blurred. This integration of technology into core services and industries further cements its status as a necessary expense, rather than an optional luxury. The financial implications of our technological dependence extend beyond individual household budgets, influencing broader economic trends and policy considerations. Without significant interventions, the challenge of affordable access to essential technology is likely to persist, potentially widening the economic gap. The debt spiral, when making ends meet means borrowing. As families grapple with the mounting pressures of technological demands and rising living costs, a more insidious financial burden has taken root: the growing reliance on debt. In 2025, credit has become both a lifeline and a trap for millions of middle-class Americans, fundamentally altering the fabric of financial stability. This shift from credit as a tool for building wealth to a necessity for daily survival exposes a profound transformation in the economic landscape facing American families. The role of credit in modern financial management has evolved dramatically. Once primarily used for major purchases or investments, credit has now become an integral part of everyday budgeting for many households. This transition reflects a broader economic reality where wages have failed to keep pace with the rising costs of essential goods and services. As a result, middle-class families increasingly turn to credit cards and other forms of borrowing to bridge the gap between their income and their expenses. The Economic Policy Institute highlights that the growing reliance on debt among middle-class families is a direct consequence of stagnant wages and rising living costs. This combination has forced many to borrow simply to maintain their standard of living, creating a precarious financial situation where debt becomes a structural component of household finances rather than a temporary measure. The impact of this shift is evident in the sharp rise of credit card debt. In 2025, credit card debt has increased significantly, with many families relying on it to meet daily expenses. This trend is particularly concerning as credit card debt often carries high interest rates, making it one of the most expensive forms of borrowing. The compounding effect of high-interest debt can quickly erode a family's financial health, making it increasingly difficult to break free from the cycle of borrowing. The debt burden extends beyond credit cards. The average cost of a new vehicle has soared past $47,000 in 2025, making financing these purchases increasingly expensive and pushing families to rely on credit for transportation. This exemplifies how even essential purchases now often require long-term financial commitments, further straining household budgets. The accumulation of debt across various categories has led to a troubling increase in the debt-to-income ratio for middle-income households. This metric, which compares a family's total debt to their annual income, has risen steadily, indicating that families are taking on more debt relative to their income. The implications of this trend are significant, as a high debt-to-income ratio can lead to long-term financial instability, making it harder for families to qualify for mortgages, save for retirement, or weather financial emergencies. The psychological effects of carrying significant debt cannot be overstated. The constant pressure of managing debt payments, coupled with the stress of living paycheck to paycheck, can lead to increased anxiety and negatively impact overall well-being. This psychological burden can affect decision-making, potentially leading to choices that further exacerbate financial struggles. For many middle-class families, the reliance on credit has become a double-edged sword. While it provides temporary relief and allows for the maintenance of a certain lifestyle, it also creates a trap that becomes increasingly difficult to escape. The cycle of borrowing to cover basic living expenses, only to face higher interest payments and reduced financial flexibility, has become a common experience for a significant portion of the middle class. The challenges of debt repayment in a stagnant wage environment are particularly daunting. As incomes fail to keep pace with the rising cost of living, families find it increasingly difficult to allocate funds towards debt reduction. This creates a scenario where many are merely treading water, making minimum payments that do little to reduce the principal balance of their debts. The impact of this debt cycle on long-term financial health is severe. Many middle-class families are living paycheck to paycheck, with a significant percentage unable to save anything for their children's future. In 2025, nearly 50% of middle-class parents report being unable to save anything for their children's future, further entrenching the cycle of debt dependence and limiting opportunities for the next generation. Experts suggest that sustainable debt management strategies for middle-income households include prioritizing high-interest debt repayment and creating a budget that accommodates both essential expenses and debt obligations. However, implementing these strategies can be challenging in an environment where many families are already stretched thin financially. The financial literacy gap, navigating complexity without a map. In an era where financial products have become increasingly sophisticated, a startling statistic emerges. Only 34% of Americans can answer 4 basic financial literacy questions correctly. This revelation underscores a critical issue facing middle-class families in 2025: the widespread lack of financial literacy. As the economic landscape evolves at an unprecedented pace, many find themselves ill-equipped to navigate the complex world of personal finance, leading to potentially dire consequences for their long-term financial well-being. The complexity of financial products and decisions has grown exponentially in recent years. From intricate investment vehicles to sophisticated credit instruments, the average consumer is bombarded with an array of choices that require a deep understanding of financial concepts. This complexity, coupled with the rapid pace of technological advancement in the financial sector, has created a challenging environment for those without a solid foundation in financial education. The inadequacy of financial education in schools and workplaces has become glaringly apparent. A study by the National Endowment for Financial Education found that only 17% of high school students reported feeling prepared to manage their finances after graduation. This lack of preparation extends into adulthood, where many middle-class workers find themselves struggling to make informed financial decisions without the necessary knowledge and skills. The consequences of low financial literacy on economic well-being are significant and far-reaching. Individuals with limited financial knowledge are more likely to make suboptimal financial decisions, leading to higher levels of debt, lower savings rates, and reduced overall financial stability. This vulnerability is particularly concerning in an economic climate where middle-class families are already grappling with stagnant wages and rising living costs. Research indicates a strong correlation between financial knowledge and financial outcomes. Those with higher levels of financial literacy are more likely to engage in positive financial behaviors, such as saving for retirement and investing, which can lead to better long-term economic stability. Conversely, individuals with lower financial literacy are more susceptible to financial mistakes and predatory practices, potentially exacerbating their economic challenges. The relationship between financial knowledge and financial outcomes becomes even more critical when considering the rapidly changing economy. As traditional employment models shift and new financial technologies emerge, the ability to adapt and make informed financial decisions becomes paramount. Without a solid understanding of financial concepts, middle-class families may find themselves at a significant disadvantage in navigating these changes. Technology plays a dual role in the financial literacy landscape. On one hand, the proliferation of digital financial tools has created new opportunities for managing personal finances. Mobile banking apps, budgeting software, and online investment platforms have made financial management more accessible than ever before. However, these tools can also be overwhelming for those who lack the necessary financial literacy to use them effectively. The digital divide in financial knowledge threatens to widen the gap between those who can leverage technology to their advantage and those who cannot. Financial literacy rates vary significantly across different demographic groups, with some populations facing greater challenges than others. Factors such as education level, income, and geographic location can all influence an individual's access to financial education and resources. This disparity in financial literacy rates can contribute to broader economic inequalities, as those with lower levels of financial knowledge may struggle to build wealth and achieve financial stability. The impact of financial literacy on long-term wealth accumulation is substantial. Studies have shown that financially literate individuals tend to have higher net worth and are better prepared for retirement. This wealth gap is not merely a result of income differences, but is significantly influenced by the financial decisions made throughout one's lifetime. Those with higher financial literacy are more likely to invest in diversified portfolios, take advantage of compound interest, and make informed decisions about debt management, all of which contribute to greater wealth accumulation over time. The policy puzzle, shaping the future of middle-class economics. While individual financial literacy is crucial, it alone cannot solve the systemic economic challenges facing the middle class. The key to unlocking widespread prosperity lies not only in personal finance skills, but also in the halls of power where economic policies are crafted. Economic policy plays a pivotal role in shaping the financial landscape for millions of Americans, influencing everything from wage growth to healthcare costs and educational opportunities. The Economic Policy Institute emphasizes that wage stagnation for the majority of American workers is a result of deliberate policy choices that have favored the wealthy, leading to a widening income inequality. This assertion challenges the notion that market forces alone determine economic outcomes and highlights the need for a comprehensive approach to addressing middle-class financial struggles. Proposed policies to support middle-class economic security include raising the federal minimum wage, expanding rights to overtime pay, and protecting the labor rights of undocumented workers. These measures aim to enhance the bargaining power of workers and ensure that wage growth keeps pace with productivity. The Economic Policy Institute suggests that if the federal minimum wage had kept pace with productivity growth, it would be over $18 today, illustrating the significant gap between current wages and economic output. Another critical area for policy intervention is the restoration of full employment. The Economic Policy Institute recommends that the Federal Reserve avoid raising interest rates until wage growth is significantly stronger. This approach aims to create jobs and stimulate productivity growth, potentially leading to a more robust economic environment for middle-class families. In the realm of education, the rising cost of tuition has forced many middle-class families to rely on substantial student loans, with average public university tuition increasing by over 15% in the past 5 years. Proposed reforms include increasing funding for public universities and expanding access to scholarships and grants to reduce the financial burden on families. These policy changes could potentially alleviate the student debt crisis and make higher education more accessible to middle-class Americans. Healthcare reform remains a contentious but crucial area for policy intervention. The current system, characterized by high costs and limited access, places a significant financial burden on middle-class families. Comprehensive healthcare reform could potentially reduce out-of-pocket expenses, expand coverage, and improve overall health outcomes for millions of Americans. International models for supporting middle-class prosperity offer valuable insights for potential policy directions in the United States. Policies from Scandinavian countries, which emphasize strong social safety nets, universal healthcare, and affordable education, have resulted in lower income inequality and higher overall living standards. While these models cannot be directly transplanted to the U.S. context, they provide evidence that comprehensive social policies can significantly improve middle-class economic security. However, implementing large-scale economic reforms faces substantial challenges, particularly political resistance from those benefiting from the status quo. The Economic Policy Institute highlights that without significant political will and public support, efforts to address wage stagnation and income inequality may face substantial hurdles. This underscores the importance of civic engagement and informed public discourse on economic policy issues. Data-driven policy analysis is crucial for understanding the potential impacts of various proposals. For instance, research indicates that addressing economic pressures through targeted policies could transform middle-class financial stability, allowing families to regain purchasing power and improve their quality of life. This includes not only wage increases, but also comprehensive reforms in healthcare, education, and housing. The interconnected nature of economic challenges requires a holistic approach to policy reform. For example, addressing the affordability of housing cannot be separated from policies affecting wage growth and healthcare costs. Similarly, education reform must be considered in the context of job market trends and technological advancements. Resilience in uncertainty, strategies for thriving in a challenging economy. As the economic landscape continues to evolve, middle-class families face unprecedented challenges in maintaining financial stability. While policymakers grapple with systemic issues, individuals must develop strategies to protect their financial well-being in an increasingly volatile environment. The key to thriving in this uncertain economy lies in a combination of personal resilience, strategic planning, and community support. The concept of personal financial resilience has gained significant importance in recent years. It encompasses the ability to withstand economic shocks, adapt to changing circumstances, and maintain financial stability despite external pressures. Developing this resilience requires a multifaceted approach that addresses various aspects of personal finance and career management. One crucial strategy for building financial resilience is diversifying income streams. The Economic Policy Institute highlights the stark reality of wage stagnation, with hourly pay growing by only 29.4% from 1979 to 2024, while productivity soared by 80.9%. This disparity underscores the need for individuals to explore additional sources of income beyond their primary employment. Engaging in freelance work, starting a side business, or investing in passive income opportunities can provide a buffer against economic uncertainties and complement traditional wage earnings. Strategic upskilling and career management have become essential components of financial resilience. In today's rapidly evolving job market, continuous learning and skill development are critical for maintaining employability and securing higher-paying roles. Individuals who invest in enhancing their professional capabilities are better positioned to adapt to changing job demands and capitalize on emerging opportunities. This proactive approach to career management can lead to increased job security and improved earning potential, contributing to overall financial stability. Innovative savings and investment strategies play a vital role in building financial resilience. Utilizing high-yield savings accounts and automated savings plans can help families build emergency funds more effectively, ensuring they are prepared for unexpected expenses. Additionally, exploring diverse investment options, such as low-cost index funds or real estate investment trusts, REITs, can provide opportunities for long-term wealth accumulation while mitigating risk through diversification. The importance of community and mutual support networks in fostering financial resilience cannot be overstated. These networks provide emotional and practical assistance during economic hardships, offering a crucial safety net for families facing financial challenges. Community resources, such as local financial education workshops, support groups, and cooperative initiatives, can provide valuable knowledge, emotional support, and sometimes even tangible assistance during difficult times. Families that actively engage with these community resources often report better coping mechanisms and improved financial stability. Case studies of individuals who have successfully navigated economic challenges provide valuable insights into effective resilience strategies. For instance, consider the experience of Sarah, a middle-class professional who faced unexpected job loss during an economic downturn. By leveraging her existing skills to secure freelance work, enrolling in online courses to expand her expertise, and actively participating in professional networking groups, Sarah not only weathered the financial storm, but also transitioned into a higher-paying role in an emerging industry. Her story illustrates the power of combining income diversification, strategic upskilling, and community engagement to enhance financial resilience. Another instructive example is the case of the Martinez family, who faced rising living costs and stagnant wages. By implementing a comprehensive financial strategy that included budgeting, strategic debt management, and exploring alternative income sources, they were able to build a robust emergency fund and improve their overall financial stability. The family's approach to financial education, involving regular family discussions about money management and involving children in age-appropriate financial decisions, exemplifies the importance of fostering financial literacy within the household. These case studies demonstrate that successful navigation of economic challenges often relies on a combination of proactive financial planning, continuous skill development, and engagement with supportive communities. By adopting these strategies, individuals can enhance their ability to maintain financial stability and even thrive in the face of economic uncertainty. The challenges facing the middle class in 2025 are multifaceted and deeply interconnected, with far-reaching implications for the broader economy and society. The erosion of purchasing power, coupled with stagnant wages and rising costs in essential areas like housing, healthcare, and education, has created a precarious financial situation for many families. This economic instability not only affects individual households, but also has the potential to weaken consumer spending, reduce economic growth, and exacerbate social inequalities. Despite these formidable obstacles, there is potential for positive change. As a study cited by the Economic Policy Institute reveals, if wage growth had kept pace with productivity, the average income of the middle 60% of American households would be approximately $18,000 higher today. This underscores the critical need for policy interventions that can restore full employment and support wage growth through public investments and enhanced labor standards. Addressing these economic challenges requires a concerted effort from policymakers, businesses, and individuals alike. Engaging in informed discussions about these issues is crucial for fostering understanding and driving change. Viewers are encouraged to share their experiences and insights in the comments. contributing to a community of support and collective action. By working together and advocating for policies that promote economic equity, we can strive to create a more stable and prosperous future for the middle class.